When you see the commutative property of multiplication on the multiplication table, you realize there have never been 100 different multiplication relationships to memorize on the multiplication table. At most, there have been 36 distinct relationships and several different concepts. Those concepts include multiplying by 1, multiplying by 10, and the commutative property of multiplication. Understanding the significance of the commutative property of multiplication is important for many reasons, one of which I'll share at the very end of this video. These are the 36 relationships that are very important to understand. You may have already noticed some other ideas. Among these 36 relationships are multiples of 2, which are enormously important and also fairly simple to recognize. Multiples of 5, also extremely important, are also simpler to learn because of how they connect to familiar patterns. And multiples of 9, which are fascinating and students often find many ways to identify them. Suddenly, this set of remaining products will look very familiar as ones that feel most persistently challenging. Square numbers, which are very important and very useful, connect many of these ideas together and they help clarify some of the remaining products. These products in particular are often some of the most challenging. By the way, that means these are some of the very best for deep, rich learning, which I'll mention at the end. And this product teaches us something very important. It's often accessed much more quickly than the others, but why is that? Partly because it's used much more often to illustrate multiplication. After all, it's easier to get out 12 objects to show how 4 groups of 3 is equal to 12, and how 12 is also equal to 3 groups of 4. The smaller number is much easier to work with than getting out 42 objects or sketching 42 objects to illustrate 7 groups of 6, which is harder to visualize, and how 7 groups of 6 is equal to 42, or how 42 is equal to 6 groups of 7. This relationship is given much more attention, even though some of the richest learning opportunities are found here. In the Multiplication Advantage, the chart shading routine is the day 4 routine in every chapter. The directions on the top explain the process so that students will shade in the multiples of 1 like this, the multiples of 10 like this, and also shade in these products like this. Then students will work with the products of these relationships, beginning with the square numbers and continuing through all 36 multiplication relationships. This routine is followed by the day 5 routine, which will help students identify which multiplication relationships create the best learning opportunities for them. And that is why all of this is so powerful. The point is not to move past the challenging learning opportunities. Instead, the point is to find the challenging learning opportunities and to use them to experience deep, rich learning.